Okay, I think we should be live now on Facebook. Let's just have a quick look. Okay, well, I'll keep Facebook open, and if anybody has any issues, you can always message me on there. Otherwise, hello and welcome. This is Tania.
Hello.
And I'm Eleanor, and we're here to answer some questions from the group Pregnant and New Mums Wellbeing Space, Huntingdonshire. So thank you very, very much, Tania, for coming on today.
That's okay.
And I'd just like to start with a little bit of an introduction. So if you don't mind just telling us what you do, Tania.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I'm Tania. I've been teaching fitness for about 13 years now. I've taught all sorts of fitness classes over the years and personal training as well. And then I've been specialised for about 8 years in pre and postnatal fitness. It's when my prenatal journey started when I was pregnant with my eldest. So yes, that's been my focus now, really. Because I've had my 2 little girls, I teach pregnancy fitness Pilates. And then I also teach postnatal fitness. I do small group sessions, and I also out in the community now can be real as well. So I teach sessions there. But I teach a variety of classes. So I do ones that are sort of can be for anyone, not just mums as well, in the evening, daytime. So yeah, I just do sort of a whole mix of fitness classes really.
Brilliant, thank you. And I'm Eleanor. I am founder of Pom Pom Perinatal. I mostly teach pregnancy and postnatal yoga. Particularly in Huntingdon, but also in Little Paxton as well. So I have been teaching for about 18 months now. And I really started with the specialism in pregnancy and postnatal. I do have 200-hour qualifications and have taught other yoga classes as well, but I really wanted to double down in this space. I am also the founder of the aforementioned Facebook group, which I keep trying to struggle to say the name of. Maybe I need to change it. Pregnant and New Mums Wellbeing Space, Huntingdonshire. Got it in one. Cool. So for me, my background was in business change. And I was doing a lot of change management work and business analysis and project management. And I was helping people through change an awful lot. And I kind of felt like it paled in significance to the journey that is motherhood, right? And moving through that massive, massive life change. And so it got to a point where I was like, why do we care so much about moving on to this reporting software or something banal like that when I could be helping people going through something that is so extraordinarily big. And as someone who has done yoga since I was a girl, and also done lots of meditation work and all of this other stuff, it just kind of felt like a really natural place to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we'll come to some of our Q&As. Let me get them up. So one of the things that we had as one of our big questions was kind of what is the difference between different pregnancy and postnatal exercise. So Tania, could you tell us a little bit more about your pregnancy classes to begin with?
Yeah, of course. So with my pregnancy classes, so I teach it in Alconbury Weald on a Monday evening. So I have up to 10 mums. I don't like to make the class too big. I want it to feel, like a nice community feel and feel like people, get to know each other and things like that. So with the class, I do a 50-minute class. We start by just kind of going around the room with the class. Everyone says their name, which pregnancy it is, how many weeks they are, anything they want to share. Because it's quite nice then to sort of see if you can relate to anyone else. Oh, I'm also suffering with this, or yeah, I've got that experience, or yeah, I'm a second-time mum too. Whatever it is. And then we do a nice standing warm-up section. With fitness Pilates, if someone doesn't know what that is, it's kind of based on the fundamentals of Pilates about everyday movements that you've got, but also connecting the mind and body. Focusing on the posture and alignment, things like that. Which are all things that are changing through pregnancy. So we, really try and work on that for all levels of, pregnancy. So yeah, we try and do with the fitness Pilates side of things. It's more kind of looking based on fitness element, looking at core stability as well. We want to make sure kind of all the movements we're doing, kind of things we do in real life, you know, like sitting down on a chair, you know, we're practicing to do that correctly, you know, protecting the pelvic floor and everything, because bumps growing and things are changing in your body. Each week I sort of vary it up, so we might use the Pilates extendables. Some weeks,
sorry, can you say that one again? Sorry, Tanya, I lost you there a bit.
Yeah, so I use different equipment each week or have a different focus. So sometimes we use like the small Pilates bendables. Sometimes we might use the wall. We generally use the chair every week, whether that's sitting down or using it to support us. We've got the long resistant bands, so we can do some arm exercises, use it to sort of open out our body, use it with the arms to the back and chest. And then of course we're based on a mat, which is what happens in the Pilates class. And then we come down to the floor, we do some floor work as well, a little bit of pelvic floor, and I always finish with a nice relaxation and stretch as well, which is always lovely. So yeah, that's kind of how I run the pregnancy class. So, you know, you'll have the same sort of core exercises that you'd expect in a pregnancy class, and breathing, things like that, but I do try and vary it each week as well, really. So yeah, so it's a lovely class, and I have a WhatsApp group as well, so that the mums can, you know, get to know each other, share, you know, other people's classes or antenatal things, or, you know, be able to ask advice as well, or share experience with other women as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of everything for my pregnancy class.
Cool. And what about your postnatal?
Yeah, so with the postnatal, I have my own studio here at my house in Manchester. So I have up to 4 mums in a postnatal small group class with their little ones, or they don't have to if they've got childcare sorted already. So in my studio, I have a mat for the babies to be on, and I can keep them happy and entertained while the mums are working out. So it's kind of like a circuit-based class. So each mum will be on a different piece of equipment. Also, I demo each exercise first, give you variations if you need it, depending on how your tummy area is looking and everything, the recovery. So, for example, it might be that we do some bicep curls with some dumbbells. You can pick which weight you'd like. I might have an exercise bike as one, or we might do like a Superman as a floor exercise. So yeah, we just vary it again each week, and I can tailor the exercises to suit the mum that we have. But it's quite nice because it's only up to 4 women. You know, they get to know each other. Generally, the babies are kind of sort of 9 months younger, because I try and do it so they're not moving babies. So it's kind of your first sort of 2 to 9 months generally in the class. And then, yes, I do that twice a week, Monday and Wednesday morning. And then I teach at Alconbury Wheels. So that's where I have the pregnancy class. So it's quite nice, actually. A lot of the mums that come to the pregnancy class then obviously have a break and then they return. And often then see faces that they recognise. So with that class, I have up to 12 ladies, because it's a bigger hall, not loads of equipment in the way. So what we do in that class is 45 minutes. We do a mixture of low impact cardio. We do dumbbell exercises, so arms and leg exercises. So we do that all together. So I join in with that one as well. So we do a standing section, and then we also do a floor section as well. And again, at the end, focus on core and pelvic floor and stretches. But with that class, it's a lot louder, a lot more chaotic, because we've got lots of babies, whether they're, again, the little teeny tiny babies, but I also welcome the moving babies as well, and toddlers, which is lovely. So like at the moment, I've got a couple of ladies that have got a baby and a toddler, often feel like they can't always do a class with both, but everybody's welcome to this class. And what's lovely about it, which is that class is what I've always done over the last 8 years at different venues across Huntingdon. But it's lovely because the mums get to know each other. They feel not just the physical side, getting moving and everything, but they just feel so much better for their mental health. And that's why I got into it, because I struggled when I had my first. Not just because fitness is my job, but I felt so much better once I got into fitness. Did something for me with other like-minded mums, and quite often after the class, the mums will go over the road to the cafe and then have that social element, which for me is just as important as the fitness. So so I do that Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I try and offer something every day, whatever anybody's doing, and hopefully between the two, there's something that everyone would like, hopefully. So yeah.
That's awesome. No, it sounds lovely. And your at home studio, I've seen the pictures of that and the videos on your Instagram, and they look fantastic. I'm so jealous. I have studio envy.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've wanted for a long time. And when we bought this house, it was my husband's double garage, and then he finally let me, once my kids were at school, take over, and it's become mine now. But yeah, I would have shown it today, but fortunately we're having some work done in the house, so I can't. But it's a great space, so yeah.
It looks fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. So I will talk a little bit about yoga now. So I teach pregnancy and postnatal yoga. In pregnancy, well, just to sort of go into yoga as a thing in itself. So yoga kind of started as a spiritual practice. So people will often say that yoga is thousands of years old, and they really mean the spiritual side of it is thousands of years old. And then it got to a point in kind of the late medieval period where you had all these monks that were sitting around meditating all day, every day, and they were getting really unfit. And so as sort of a part of monastic life, they came up with these postures to try and give them some exercise. So I think there's so many parallels with our day-to-day life where now we're back to sitting all the time on computers and what have you. And it just so happens that there's all of these postures, all of this exercise that's kind of been made for dealing with that already, if under a very different circumstance. And so fast forward a long time, eventually this kind of came into the West and became more of an exercise focused thing. But it really still has those roots in that spiritualism, and yoga as a term means to bring together. So to yoke, to bring together, and it means kind of mind, body and spirit. And different teachers will approach this in very different ways. So some people will bring in a lot more spirituality. Some people will bring in a lot more of this mind-body connection, and some people will focus more on the more on the body side of things. So it really depends on the different teachers and different classes in yoga as a whole. My own approach came from I'd gone through some somatic experiencing as part of therapy for me, partly to do with postnatal depression. And so somatic experiencing is very similar to yoga in this kind of feeling into the body and feeling where you're holding tension and what that tension means in an emotional sense as well. And so for me, yoga and this type of therapy were kind of going hand in hand. And it kind of, without going into being a therapist or any, into being a hack, basically, without going into that side of things, there is that feeling of, if you can come back to the body, and if you can come back to these tensions and really kind of meditate on yourself, really bring yourself into focus, you can start to let go of these tensions and start to sort of feel your way through things at the same time as doing exercise as well, meditations that can, sometimes you just want to feel calm, and that's wonderful, like particularly in early motherhood and through pregnancy as well. It's a stressful time. It's a time of big change. So being able to take some time to look after yourself and your mind and your body is kind of all in one big package. So we have a lot to do in an hour, particularly in pregnancy, I find. So in terms of our layout is we will start with a meditation. We'll do some gentle warm-ups. I am also a corrective exercise specialist, which means that I add in quite a lot of extra sort of technical things to help people with their individual issues. So they'll tell me at the start if they've got like hip pain on one side or whatever's going on, and we'll sort of have a little look at their posture and be like, okay, let's try and release off a little bit of tension from this side over here, and just kind of touch on all of those things to try and keep them moving as much as possible through pregnancy. And then in the postnatal class, so I teach 3 pregnancies at the moment and 1 postnatal class. And in postnatal, again, we're looking at those kind of corrective exercises. So where somebody might be struggling a little bit with diastasis to the point where they're kind of, you know, they're not getting referred necessarily, but they are worried about it. That's where we can sort of spend a little bit more focus on the underlying structure and making sure that it's strong, basically. And then that alongside all of these meditations and chance to unwind and release and be present with the moment as well. So I think hopefully that covers it.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you. I think, and I wanted to take this moment as well to say that no exercise is superior. I think, you know, there's different approaches, and what you're doing, Tania, sounds absolutely fantastic. And it might be that if you are looking for somebody to help you through this period of time with your exercise, Tania's approach might be better for you, or my approach might be better for you. And it's not either. Well, it's not either or, but also it's not.
I agree. And I think, you know, you know, you're right. You know what's best for your body and at your time. And I think actually, you know, and actually both can complement each other lovely as well. You know, I think a lot of people that I have people that do yoga and then they come to me and do fitness or fitness Pilates. So I think they can complement each other perfectly as well. And I think, you know, whether it was us or someone else's class, I think it's important as well that you connect with, you know, the instructor that you have as well, and you feel like that's the person for you, you know. Well. So, yeah.
100%. And that doesn't mean that one person is better than another or anything like that. It's just about resonance and about what works for you. Cool. So yeah, we're not competing on this Q&A. Okay. So our next question is, when can you get back into exercise postnatally? So after you've given birth. Tania, are you happy answering?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I think, you know, guidelines are guidelines. At the end of the day, you have to go with what you feel. So don't feel like just because, right, they say you can go at this point, that doesn't mean that you have to. I always think it's important to listen to your body. So we say minimum, if it's a vaginal birth, to go at 6 weeks is the minimum. And with a C-section, we say 10 to 12 weeks. Again, each, you know, person's going to be different of what, you know, they're happy with on that. Obviously, the best thing as well is obviously when you go to your GPs to have the, you know, GP check that you have. It's around 6 to 8 weeks, isn't it? So yeah, that's kind of the minimum guideline. But like I say, it's best to go how you feel. Also, if you've got any diastasis recti, which is the abdominal separation that you have in the abdominals, it's best as well. From what my own experience and what a lot of my ladies have had, it's not always something that doctors check. So if it's something that you haven't heard of, you know, ask us about it or have a little Google about it. But it's also important to have a feel of your tummy muscles because, again, if they're, you know, if the muscles are quite soft, you know, around your tummy area, you feel that there's a gap, you've got to be careful with what kind of exercise that you're doing as well. So I know, I can't remember that lady that's round here, her name, but I know there's like, you can have a mummy MOT and things like that. So if you have got any concern with kind of core or pelvic floor, that's always another good thing if you're slightly, you know, worried about that before getting into exercise. That's again something my ladies have had done and found that's been really beneficial before going to exercise. Don't know, have you heard of that? Or?
Yeah, Tara.
That's it. Yes, Tara.
Harmony for her, I think, is her.
That's it.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's really nice as well. Yeah. I would agree with all of that. And I think also it's really worth pointing out that unless you are very advanced with your exercise, it's going to be advisable that you do go to a specialist like myself or Tania, because we know about those issues in the body and we know what to look out for. We know what the red flags are. And hopefully we're also people that you feel like you can talk to about things like pelvic floor dysfunction, etc., because that does come up in exercise. It is something that a lot of women find if they are having pelvic floor dysfunction, they then don't want to exercise because they feel embarrassed. And we don't want you to feel like that. We want you to feel like you can come back into exercise and feel empowered. So as people who are specialists in this area, either we can help you or we know who to refer you to. So I really want to make that clear that, you know, if you're coming back into exercise, unless, say, you're an Olympic athlete or, you know, you really, really know what you're doing, definitely, even if it's just for a few sessions, come to something that is more specialized and get a feel for where your body is before you move on to something a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I've got a level 3 pre and postnatal. So yeah, like you say, we've had the training, but some classes, just be mindful if you're just going to a gym class or something like that, just a normal class, that person might have not had that qualification, so might not know how to adapt. So like you're saying, it's really important to make sure that you're going to someone that, like we have, has got the training in this area, so that, you're doing the exercises that aren't going to make anything worse, for yourself. So yeah, it's a really good point.
Okay, next question. So what kind of, this is quite related, what kind of exercise can you do in pregnancy and also postnatally as well?
Yeah, good question. So I think if you're an absolute beginner and you haven't been doing exercise before, that's where you've got to be more careful. Definitely keep it low impact, like you say, either yoga or doing something like Pilates, fitness Pilates. If you've been already doing something, like you say, a bit more of an expert in what you're doing, it's more kind of okay to be. But for example, if you were doing running and you're very, something you do regularly, modified, you could continue that, but it's not something that you would then start. If you've never done running and then you're pregnant, you wouldn't do that, for example. So that's where it's kind of be good to be careful. But yeah, anything kind of low impact is kind of your best bet, really. And then if you have been doing training, so for example, if I had someone that was pregnant, been doing weights with me, and then they continued with me, I would obviously be able to adapt that. So it doesn't mean you have to stop. You just have to obviously be careful of what you're doing, and also kind of keeping in mind anything that your midwife might say, your doctor, if you've got any kind of contradiction, medically wise as well. It's just to be careful, just to bear that in mind as well.
Mm-hmm. And obviously checking in with the body as well as you're going, particularly around the hips. If you start to feel that something isn't right, just backing off a little bit on whatever that exercise is. Or again, maybe if that's the point where you go, okay, I've been running up to 20 weeks, I've been doing really well, now might be the time to stop running and start doing something like one of your classes or one of my classes, and just looking after your body in a different way.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually, because when my first pregnancy personally was generally okay, and I was able to continue as I was. Second pregnancy, also in lockdown as well, so that didn't help. But from 27 weeks, I then got the pelvic girdle pain, which is obviously something I knew about, but then experiencing myself, it was a huge difference for me. And then I found, I couldn't do the exercise I was doing, but I still was able to do things. It was just keeping the movement small, like say with the hips, just being careful not to open, too wide, or like walking, I had to just minimize it. So again, like you say, if you get to a certain point and you find you've got sciatic pain or pelvic girdle pain, anything like that, we're people that are able to say, no, you can probably still exercise, but we can adapt and give advice on try and avoid this sort of movement, but try and do this movement which might give you the right balance to keep going as long as you can with some form of movement. And like you say, making it feel better for your mind as well, because that's again so important.
100%. We've also got the question, so what kind of exercise can you do postnatally as well? We've kind of touched on that. Do you want to go into a bit more depth, or do you feel like we've covered that?
Well, we've covered. I think, again, it's just, I think the main thing is being careful. I will always say someone has got separation in their abdominals still, say 6 weeks plus postnatally. A kind of good general rule of thumb is making sure that you keep your knees on the floor, feet on the floor of any exercise. So say if you did a plank, for example, you wouldn't want to be going into a full plank. You want to not put too much pressure on abdominals. If you were doing something on your back, you don't want to be doing sit-ups. You want to just do like a general like leg slide. So I think that's probably just a point to kind of keep in mind, like a little a tip there, really.
Yeah, true. And I think it's also worth maybe talking a little bit about getting back into exercises that you might have done before you were pregnant or until a certain point in your pregnancy. So for me, running is my other thing other than yoga. I went for a run this morning, hence the wet hair. I do have a reason. I don't just go around with wet hair. Yeah, so for me, I was desperate to get back into running after I'd given birth. I didn't run throughout most of the pregnancy because I'd had bad pregnancy sickness, and then I kind of lost confidence in my body, and I was like, oh God, I don't want to hurt anything. And so postnatally, I was just raring to go. And I went out at 10 weeks, which you're not meant to do. You're not meant to do for high intensity exercise. Yeah. I went out for 10 weeks and I did not feel good at that 10-week point. particularly around the hips, I really felt very unstable. I can remember thinking I'm going to like lose my organs at my bottom. Not good. So I waited, I think another 2 weeks. I waited until that 12-week point. And I did this with the Couch to 5K, so a lot less than what I was doing before, where I'd be going out for anywhere between 3 to 8 miles. This was much more like you do sort of a minute of running and then a couple of minutes of walking, etc., etc. And you do that. And I literally did it 1 a week rather than 3 times a week that it is in the program. So much, much slower return. And it was okay. But, you know, I had been running before. I had been running before the pregnancy, and I'd got a few years of that in my system, in my muscle memory. So it really kind of depends on each person. If you've never run before and you want to get into running postnatally, then that's going to be a very different journey to somebody who has been running before or running during the pregnancy and then wants to come back to it postnatally. So really it is a case of listening to the body, particularly when you start ramping things up and going for those higher impact things after you've given birth, trying to find out where your body is at that point in time and what it really can take on.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of what I do, especially with the small group that I have here, because there is different options of cardio and everything like that. I always say you first class back, you know, if they want me to check their tummy, then I can do that and everything, you know, talk through anything that they're concerned about. But it's finding where you are. It's starting kind of with your basic level. And if that feels okay, maybe just gradually increase it. But yeah, that kind of first session, you will like say first run, whatever it is, first class, is just kind of seeing how you feel and going with your body and not rushing it, because especially when you're in this industry, you just think, right, I want to get back to it, I want to feel better. But yeah, you just got to take your time, really, haven't you? And just see how your body feels. And I always say that. Go how your body feels. You know, I can give you the advice, but, you know, you just have to take it as you can, really.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Right. So our final question, we've got about 3 minutes. Our final question is, why is exercise important?
Yeah, so I mean, I think personally it's a mixture of physical and you know, mental benefits from it. I think obviously it's getting all those endorphins going. I have a lot of the time myself and my clients where you might go, you know, you've not slept very well, or baby's been up in the night and things like that, or same pregnancy, you know, you're getting uncomfortable, but sort of as soon as you make yourself do it, you feel so much better afterwards. You know, get all those hormones going, you know, whether it's if you're in a class, you know, you're meeting other people, you're feeling the same, share things, you know, in terms of physically, you know, increase your flexibility and strength. You might find your posture is going to get better, alignment. There's so many benefits, feeling stronger. But yeah, for me, especially postnatally, it's just that mental, you know, feeling so much better, giving yourself a little boost, really, and feeling like you've achieved something as well, and something focusing on you and not just baby as well. But also, if the babies are coming to class, you're getting that connection. Or again, in the pregnancy class, I'm sure same with yours, you're focusing on bum, thinking about the baby as well. So yeah, it's just, there's so many benefits.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My mind is drawing a blank, but there are so many.
At the moment.
Yeah. I think as well, it's just kind of, particularly in pregnancy, just keeping moving. You do hear so many stories, very sad stories of people who having to use a Zimmer frame towards the end of the pregnancy. And it's heartbreaking, really. Like, that period of time can be so tough anyway, with things like, you know, pregnancy sickness can be really tough, and all of the other variables and things that can happen. So being able to kind of look after your body for as long as possible and keep you strong, give you a much easier recovery after pregnancy, and also look after you for later in life as well. Like, this is often a kind of turning point where we're starting to think about sort of looking after our bodies as we get older as well.
Yeah, because it's not just, you know, pre and postnatal. That's your lifestyle. You know, I've had lots of ladies that said they've not done much before, then done it, and they're like, you know, this is my new life. This is how we continue, and for your children as well, growing up and feeling strong for them, isn't it?
100%. Right, we've got 30 seconds. So I think that's going to be it for the questions. Do you want to just sign off telling us again what your classes are, Tania?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, I think I've covered quite a lot of it, but basically I teach in God Manchester, small group, postnatal, and also I can do one-to-ones or 2 people at a time with the little ones. And then I also teach an Alchemy Wheeled, postnatal and fitness Pilates there, really. So yeah.
Cool. And they can find you on your Facebook page?
Yeah, on my Facebook, Tania Fitness, Instagram, and my website's taniafitness.com.
Awesome. Great. And I'm Eleanor at Pom Pom Perinatal. I have pregnancy classes on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, and a postnatal on a Thursday as well. And you can find me at pompomperinatal.co.uk. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tania. This has been really wonderful.
Yeah, it's been great to have a chat and discuss it all together as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your time as well. Hopefully this will be recorded on Facebook. We're not quite sure yet. If it is, hopefully you can rewatch this. And I'll let you know all about the next Q&A coming up as well.
Yeah. If there's any other questions, feel free to pop a comment below and I'm sure one of us can answer them as well for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.